Hello, it's 5 p.m. local time here in Warsaw. I'm Maciej Mikos and you're watching World News. Ukrainian and Polish security services foiled an assassination attempt on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy at Rzeszów Airport in April 2024. Ukraine's security service chief Vasyl Maliuk confirmed the joint operation on Monday. Polish Minister of Internal Affairs Tomasz Siemoniak confirmed the timeline and praised the close cooperation between Polish agencies and Ukraine's SBU. Authorities say a retired Polish soldier recruited years ago by Russian intelligence planned the attack. He reportedly considered using a drone or a sniper rifle. Polish agents arrested the suspect, identified as Paweł K., on April 17, 2024. Illegal ammunition was later discovered at his residence. He remains in custody and prosecutors filed charges in May 2025. Rzeszów Airport near Rzeszów is a key hub for humanitarian aid to Ukraine and frequently used by President Zelenskyy for international travel. Overnight, Russia launched one of its largest missile and drone assaults on Kyiv. At least 7 people have been killed and 28 wounded, including children, after a barrage that lasted more than 3 hours and struck residential areas. So we are now joined live by Oskar Terzi in Kyiv. Good afternoon, Oskar. So what can you tell us about the scale of this attack and what is the current situation in the capital city?
Well, unfortunately, the death toll has risen in that attack. Now up to 9 people have been killed in that attack on the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv. The Ukrainian government said Russia launched 352 drones and 16 missiles onto the territory of Ukraine. The injury toll is now up to 34 people injured as well. Now, there has also been another attack in the day targeting the Bilhorod-Dnistrovsky region of Odessa. A school was hit by a ballistic missile, killing 2 people there and scores injured there too. So there are still search and rescue operations ongoing in the Odessa region and in the Kyiv region following these strikes, which have killed civilians again here in the capital, following on from a really devastating strike killing 30 last week. So the Russians really targeting Ukraine with huge drone swarms and missile bombardment over the last few weeks, really putting real pressure on Ukraine's air defenses. They were engaged over the skies of Kyiv for about 3.5 hours last night. So it was a really difficult night, not just for the Ukrainian Air Force and the Ukrainian air defense, but also the people of Kyiv suffered terribly in this attack. Several buildings have been badly damaged. That one building where so many were killed has been virtually demolished, the one entire block. So again, a really difficult day for Ukraine, with President Zelenskyy visiting London, trying to get more support from his allies on the continent and further afield, particularly in the field of air defense. Ukraine's air defenses are really struggling under these attacks. Russia routinely launching more than 300, 400 drones into Ukrainian territory, and those swarms are overwhelming Ukraine's already stretched air defenses. So a difficult situation for the Ukrainians to be in. While so much attention is diverted to the Middle East, the Russians are hitting Ukraine hard, hitting civilian population centers hard with drone swarms and ballistic missiles. Back to you in the studio.
That was Oskar Terzi reporting on the Russian attacks on Ukrainian cities. Thank you very much, Oz. Britain's King Charles has met with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy after welcoming him to Windsor Castle. Zelenskyy also held discussions with Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The two were set to discuss Ukraine's defences and new ways to increase pressure on Russian President Vladimir Putin ahead of the NATO's leaders' summit in The Hague. The talks between Zelenskyy and the British Prime Minister come just hours after at least 9 people were killed in Russian air drone strikes in Kyiv. Europe remains divided on exactly how to react to the escalating tensions in the Middle East. The EU's top diplomats are meeting in Brussels to hash out a common position on Iran and to discuss Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine. Our Europe correspondent, Alex Kedier, is in Brussels and has more.
Well, the European Union's position on the situation in Iran, the escalating situation in Iran, remains a little unclear. We have divisions, of course, among the member states, but also Europe had been providing what it saw as a diplomatic alternative, meeting between the UK, German, French foreign ministers with their Iranian counterpart in Geneva just a few days ago, trying to offer a diplomatic alternative to escalation. That was clearly the aim there. Scuppered somewhat, it has to be said, by those United States strikes in Iran. Simon Harris, the Irish foreign minister, saying that was unhelpful when it comes to bringing this situation to a peaceful conclusion, particularly because the consequences beyond the military action could be enormous for the global economy. We heard Kaja Kallas, the EU's top diplomat, speaking about that at this meeting here in Brussels.
So ministers are very much focused on the diplomatic solution and also the concerns of retaliation and this war escalating are huge. Especially closing of the Strait of Hormuz by Iran is something that it would be extremely dangerous and not good for anybody.
So clearly those knock-on effects from a potential closure of the Strait of Hormuz, escalation between Israel, Iran, the United States, and the impact of the global economy very much front of mind here as the foreign ministers of the EU meet in Brussels. Nevertheless, there are other topics at hand. This meeting was supposed to focus on the EU's relationship with Israel, a relationship that has been formally reviewed by Kaja Kallas' team, and Israel has been found to breach its obligations to the EU when it comes to respecting international humanitarian law. The question was, what will the EU do about it? That seems to have been sidelined for now, as the focus remains on Iran. The focus, again, not on Ukraine either. We've seen those devastating strikes in Kyiv in the last day alone. That, of course, will be discussed. The foreign minister of Ukraine is here. But nevertheless, the focus in Brussels is trying, as difficult as it may be, to shape a European position on the Middle East crisis. In Brussels, I'm Alex Candier for TVP World.
Poland is not and will not be involved in the US actions in the Middle East, said Defense Minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz when asked whether Poland knew about Washington's plans to carry out strikes against nuclear targets in Iran. He added that the American decisions were in no way connected to the NATO alliance.
As for America's plans, we're in contact with Washington, of course, as an ally of the United States. But it was an individual decision on the part of the U.S., which was implemented by them, and they have the right to do so. This is in no way a NATO operation. This is in no way an allied operation. And the presence of Polish forces in the region is not connected with this operation. They were on the ground much earlier and were stationed in Turkey, Iraq, and Lebanon. I say this to reassure you that at no stage has Poland been, nor is it involved in these military actions, and it will not be involved in these activities in the Middle East.
The son of Iran's last Shah, who was ousted by the 1979 Islamic Revolution, says peace in Iran can only be achieved if the country is secular and democratic. Reza Pahlavi told reporters that he does not want political power, but only to help Iran navigate this difficult time as the conflict with Israel rages on.
There is only one way to achieve peace: a secular, democratic Iran. I am here today to submit myself to my compatriots, to lead them down this road of peace and democratic transition. I do not seek political power, but rather to help our great nation navigate through this critical hour towards stability, freedom, and justice.
And that will be all for now. Thank you for watching. World Talks with Ashim Kumar is coming up next.